Smelling like the roses somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed. I am smelling like the roses somebody gave me 'cause I'm dead and blue.
Mark, you cannot stop this podcast without listening to that. It was the only way to start it. First of all, I'm going to bring a little information to you as we prepare this podcast that you didn't know. This month marks the 30th anniversary of the recording of Core. So it's 30 years ago exactly. They're in the studio recording this album.
Which makes me feel bad.
It make you feel old too, right?
Well, I mean, people don't know. We tried to do this podcast earlier, and life got in the way. And I went through a tragedy. I appreciate everybody behind me. I lost my toaster. I've had it for a long time, and it's parted. So I appreciate the thoughts. But man, I've been listening to this album since Thanksgiving. And I say, I've been listening to it since Thanksgiving. I mean, every day. And I listen to this album every 2 weeks, and I listen to Stone Temple Pilots all the time. And I know we're talking about Core. I will argue or fight anybody in the street that tells me there's any bad Stone Temple Pilots songs. There's only one I don't like, and that's it was later, Dichotomy. I hate it. I want to punch somebody in the throat when I hear it. And then, the other things we got going on, you got Stone Temple Pilots, but this band gave us a lot more than that. I got to enjoy Army of Anyone. I'm a big Filter fan. The lead singer from Filter's their lead singer. You had talk shows for there a little bit. Then you got all of Scott Weiland's side projects, the Wildabouts, which is okay. It was going good till their guitarist died. His solo work, his Christmas album, which we talked earlier for this show, you need to go get it. It's Bing Crosby on steroids, and it'll make you tear up. It's great. And then, even the other lead singers we got Chester Bennington, who's passed away, and then we got the new guy who I like. But on top of that, these everybody in this band is a phenomenal musician. The bassist, I play bass. You're not going to find a better solid journeyman bass player. And then he's got his brother for the chemistry. It's an amazing band, man. This whole album, right out of the gate, was red hot.
So let's talk about the album out of the gate. Of course, they had been touring around San Diego, which is a better music scene than most people thinks it is.
Right.
As the band Mighty Joe Young. A lot of this, I know The Garden and Riverman and a lot of stuff was already wrote ahead of time. But the question that begs to be answered, when this first hit, I guess back then, the shelves, it was panned by a lot of the critics.
I mean, I'm going to air quote, the critics. Oh, it was terrible. They were ripping off Pearl Jam, and they were ripping off Alice in Chains. I get it a little bit. Scott Weiland has got a beautiful baritone voice, and so does Pearl Jam. And Lane Staley from Alice in Chains is everywhere. He can do what he did everything with his voice. I can see the comparisons there, but after that, I'm sorry. Like Pearl Jam, these guys are 10 times better than musicians. And like you said, they already had demos out. So the time this album came out, it was already really rocking and rolling. It kind of reminded me, we did an earlier podcast, where Rat came out of the gate. Well, that's because they already had their music fine-tuned. There was an EP out there, demos, and when Core was made, and I'm going to air quote was made, it was already done. They just needed fine-tuning in the studio. And if you go get the 25th anniversary, all the demo stuff's on there.
Yes.
And it is an amazing, if you're going to go buy Core, and I hope you do, don't buy the CD, get the 25th anniversary edition. It's like 4 CDs.
Yeah. Also, a limited version that comes with vinyl.
Right.
And a live performance and an unreleased MTV live performance.
Right. So just to touch base on that, to say I'm a huge STP fan is an understatement. Here's one of the reasons. The bass player, Robert Aiello, he is a hoarder of everything STP. If it was a good recording, he's hung on to it. And it's not like, I hate to say it, Kiss, where you get a rehash of a song with a different note. Oh my gosh, let's do another release. This is true demo, and if it's a deep dive for a fan of all the stuff he's got, and some of it's not the best recording. It's, you hear a note missed, and you hear when he's singing, his voice is a little off that night. It's real, and that's another reason I like this band. So
do you think? And a little bit of it was, some of those demos are just a little bit out there. There's some yodeling. There's some.
yeah, but
There's some stuff that just doesn't play in 1992. But they were experimenting, and I even think Scott Weiland, who a lot of people don't realize is a college educated, very intelligent man.
theater bass,
Everybody,
choir.
again, drug addict, but that doesn't happen till down the road. At this point, he's a very articulate, very read, very intelligent man.
Well, yeah, and the musical quality of all these guys are very intelligent. And I used to judge Scott on his drug use, and I'm afraid I sound judgmental. But then I read his autobiography. Dude, I'm not, oh, woe is me, the rock star, but he had a tortured life from preteen to teen to young man, and drugs became an outlet for the wrong reasons. But we probably wouldn't have got the music we got without the torture. I mean, if you think about it, like Alice in Chains, Lane Stanley, we got him because he was a tortured soul too. You know, it's part of how an artist becomes what they are. I'm sorry he went through all that, and if you watch some of the late videos right before he passed away, they're just horrific to watch. But I'm so glad that we got his music.
So I just want to excuse everybody that's wondering why I'm just moving all the time. Suffering with a little back issue, so I'm going to move in and out of frame. So stay with me. I've also marked retired from climbing on ladders at 55. And if anybody needs a ladder, getting hold of me. I got some free ladders for you. But I do, I'm one of those people in life that did suffer at one point and went too far into that. But a lot of times and we'll get into Dead and Bloated in just a second, the first song on the song. But a lot of times people label that guy by his drug use.
Oh, and it's terrible.
This is a guy who was a tortured soul, who still made something of himself. And I can't imagine what he went through in 2013 when they fired him for Stone Temple Pilots.
I wanted to touch base on that, man. So I judged them when they got rid of him in 2013. But then, you wait a little bit and stuff starts coming out of the woodwork. So you've rewind a little bit. When he was in Velvet Revolver, they kicked him out too. And he came up to him and said, I need to go to rehab. And they're about to go on a major tour. And they said, if you want to go to rehab, you're going to have to pay for it. We're not paying for it. And you can't buffalo us. Half that band had been in rehab more than once. And he let it be known later that he went to rehab to get clean so he could come out and get higher, because he was building up such a tolerance. Yeah. He'd go to rehab, come down, get semi-clean, go back out to get higher. And Stone Temple Pilots had enough of it. And I watched some live footage near the end. His performance was waning, and I'm sure that they finally had enough of it.
Yeah, but to put it in perspective, though, when Core is released, though, this is Scott Weiland that could have probably took anybody to a basketball court and beat them one-on-one. The guys made a quote in one of the interviews during the Deluxe 25th anniversary issue. They were talking about Scott, and they said, if you're going to have a spelling bee, he was going to outspell you. If you're going to go on the tennis court and play tennis, he's going to beat you. If you're going to go to the basketball court and play him one-on-one, he's going to beat you. Anything, he was an alpha male. Right. That was, and they said in the interview that the writing of this album seemed to really touch an inner demon with him. And when
You
you
can hear
listen
it
to
in
the
the lyrics.
lyrics, you can see that.
You can hear it. You know,
Also,
and they said that, you know, he like you said, he could pick up a basketball. What always impressed me too, and you shouldn't judge somebody on their looks. That dude was a chameleon, man. You'd see him one time, blonde guy, all this. Next thing he had the you know, the Sex Pistols look going on, and then the next time he's got a skinny tie on and he looks like a 1950s crooner.
yeah,
It's just crazy what he could pull off, and he was big into fashion too.
just looking for
Not
an
my thing,
identity.
but it was definitely his thing.
But my last word before we get into this on Scott Weiland is don't over. And I love Velvet. I may be the guy that loves Red Velvet Revolver as much as more than
I
SMG.
love him, man. I
Of course,
thought it was a nice little twist.
I'm a big Slash mark, so
Right.
that adds to it for me. But let's get into this album.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to touch because I feel like we're fixating on Scott. Dude, the brothers, he's a sessions bass player, man.
Right.
If you ever watch him do clinics where he's teaching people how to play bass, he was a bass rep before the band got big. And his brother, I don't think he gets enough credit. He gets so many different sounds out of a guitar to the next song, to the next song, to the next song. I mean, if you listen to a Metallica album, they all sound the same by that album. You go a few albums later, they get a little bit different sound. Stone Temple Pilots is mixing it up the whole time. And their drummer is phenomenal, and he's also a producer. So they're musicians.
Wrote most of the songs, then handed them to Scott for lyrics.
Right.
The way I understood their process worked.
And some of the lyrics show that where he's trying to fill in a rhyming word. I mean, some of it's just not Rhodes Scholar poetry, but it's definitely rock and roll. And there are some dark lyrics in some of these songs. So
on Dead and Bloated opens the album using a megaphone, which we would see a repeat of.
Yeah, real quick, what was it? What was your reaction first time you saw that? WTF? And
I was more blown away when I saw them live that they handed the megaphone to someone in the crowd and they just come on the stage and screamed at the top of their lungs the opening of this song.
That'd have been awesome.
So that really was a moment. I was like, damn, why didn't I be up down front for this?
He was a good front man too. Let's throw that out there too.
He was.
I don't think anybody can ever fill his shoes.
Dead and Bloated is a morbid song with almost a light feel to it, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, on the frontman real quick. When I think of frontmen, I think of Mick Jagger, for worse or better or whatever, Paul Stanley. And then I think of Scott Weiland. And out of those three, Scott's way above them, man. He works the crowd. He's got the thing that David, he's heavily influenced by David Bowie. And like you said, John Denver,
the Carpenters. That's another thing they brought up, is that he loved like this easy listening classic rock and just loved it lyrically.
But so let me ask you something. We're talking about core though. If I put on a John Denver song, you'd listen to it.
Yes.
If I put on Karen Carpenter, remember this has got listened to Megadeth. I'm listening to Karen Carpenter, dude.
Well,
they're phenomenal.
When we get to Plush, we'll discuss it, especially from the D'Lo brothers side of it. To me, we're going to talk about the word ragtime jazz feel. It's a unique. There's no place in rock music that has those set of chords ever put together. But I also think that the lyrics almost, when you listen to it, it's a John Denver "Take Me Back to West Virginia" song.
Here's one thing I wanted to touch on too that everybody just blows by it, man. The bass player is a bossa nova player. If you watch his fingering on the bass and his style on that neck, dude, there's so many influences to this band. And one other thing, I know we got to get going here. The other thing that I really like about this album,
it's the reason I started early, because I knew we'd get hung up.
It's pre-computers. They're really playing. It's really an amp. It's really tubes. It's no click machine. You're hearing what you get. And I love that about this album.
I want to play another section of Dead and Bloated, which I think is kind of unique. But let's just get a listen real after we heard the opening. unique to me. That whole
I like
sound.
how it's down here, and then he brings it back up. That's just phenomenal, man. And
That whole
the
song
band's
is
right
unique,
there.
and it's one of my favorite songs on the album.
And mine too. Mine too. I know we rate the songs as we go. Mine's going to be pretty easy. This is
there's
a
couple
10,
in the
dude.
middle. It's going to lose me,
Yeah,
but
this is a 10.
this is a great song. I'm going to give it a 9.5, just because I'm going to give a couple later a 10. There's a whole section that I call the Randall section.
Yeah, here's a problem I've got with this album, and I'm going to show my age. MTV, this band was perfect, and Scott and his look was perfect for MTV.
It was.
And I've heard these over and over and over, like Plush and all those and Wicked Garden. Man, I've heard them. But if I hear them live, like on something weird on YouTube that I find, I listen to every bit of it. So,
speaking of that, the next song, track 2.
Right.
Very controversial song. Scott Weiland, until his death, denounced the song as, a lot of people in the media at the time said it was a pro-abuse song. I hear nothing about that. It is a very serious subject sung on top of some very light music in my head.
So let's go dark real quick. If you read his autobiography, and there is a horrible, painful Howard Stern interview that's out there. Scott Weiland as a child was sexually abused by a guy in his neighborhood. Once you know that, you hear this song, it takes on a whole new meaning, at least for me.
To me,
it's a very light song on a very, like you said, on a very, very dark,
very heavy subject.
Yes.
But I would be remiss if I didn't just give us a sample early on that sets a tone to me. It's good, clean. That's such a monster beat.
Oh, wait a minute. We screwed up. Were you gonna play Wicked Garden?
Oh, well.
All right. We got Sex Type Thing.
Do what?
Sex Type Thing.
Yeah, very much.
But there was controversy with that song too.
Except I like Wicked Garden's licks better. It's a slower pace,
right.
but this song was a monster hit.
So Sex Type Thing too, man. They caught grief over that it was pro rape, and I can't probably say that on YouTube, so I'm going to say rape A. So they said it was a pro rape A song. It's not. Listen to the lyrics, take a pause, and here's where I love the Stones of this band. When all that controversy was going on, I don't know if the video's still out there. He kind of kept it down low. Like, all right, y'all talk about it. We're getting free money out of y'all doing this. Next thing, live, he comes out in a black pleather dress, black gloves, singing in a girl's dress and belting that song out. And he said this song used to make him mad that the guys in the crowd, but yeah. And he's like, y'all have no idea what this song's really about.
The black dress raised a little stink at the time.
Oh, that was, oh my God. And here's the other thing. His David Bowie influence. If you knew David Bowie and you saw him wearing that dress, as soon as I saw the dress, I went, wow, David Bowie.
David Bowie. That is a Bowie vibe. The way you go from that churning, repetitive, you think about something like Ziggy Stardust, stuff like that. It's like a very simple riff they ride, and then they blow it out.
Ooh, so there's your grunge, man. That's what, I still love grunge. Hey, I'm real quiet, I'm mellow, and then it's in your face again.
Right. And the whole time dealing with.
Right. So people who thought this was an aggressive song, there's an acoustic version of this song. Not the MTV Unplugged. It's them at a studio, I think in LA, at a radio station. It puts feels on it. It's an amazing song.
Well, sorry, that wasn't Sex Tack Thing. That was Wicked Garden, but you
Yes,
wouldn't
it
know the
is.
difference.
But I'm ready.
Well, Sex Tack Thing, I'm going to give it a 9 just because it's so overplayed in my head. It is not my favorite STP song. It's the song that probably hooked me into the band.
Yeah, but let me ask you something, Mr. QB1. When you're in your car, do you play it at 5 or do you play it at 11?
I don't play any Stone Temple Pilots at 5.
Right. The glass is about to break.
Hey, listen, I have a little note to mention it. STP is a lot like ACDC in that you cannot listen to
Right.
ACDC all. I mean, you don't get. Also, to Robert DeLoe's credit,
Oh, man.
you don't get the feel of the whole band unless you're listening to that riff and those bass lines just tearing it up. I
And
mean,
that's what I
that's the
want to
feel of
touch
the
on
band.
too, man. Another cool thing about this album, there's a lot of isolated tracks out there on YouTube now. If you don't think this is a good band, go listen to the isolated tracks.
Well,
There's a
that's another
lot going
criticism of the
on. You
band when
hear
they
it
came out.
through.
It was Scott Weiland. There's a train going by, so if y'all hear it, that's neighborhood, and I'm not in the studio because my back hurts. But there was a lot of criticism of this band. Mark, I meant to ask you about their stage presence. They looked so non-rock stars,
Well,
except for Scott Weiland.
so here we go. You ready? And this is why I love this band too, man. So they came out of the gate. They should have been red hot, but they weren't doing. MTV was helping them, but the tour they got placed with Megadeth, and Megadeth. You know how that crowd went. What in the crap? You know who would love them though? Dave Mustaine. He took them off to the side. He even went out to the crowd one time, told everybody to chill out. This is a great band. Slow your roll down. But he pulled them to the side and he says, your set list is wrong. And he went through their set list and started moving songs around. And now they had it together. And that's when it really started taking off.
Well, and the tour that most associates with them breaking was going out with Kiss about a year later.
Yep.
And in that, and you know, at that time, you and I were huge Kiss fans.
Right.
That audience would have been more acceptable to this style of music than maybe the Megadeth style.
But I got new respect for Mustaine for seeing, you know, what it wasn't thrash. He saw what they were. He saw the potential and groomed them. So by the time, like you said, by the time they got to Kiss, the set list was set, the stage presence was set, and the timing was right. And it worked. I would have loved to see them with Megadeth, though.
Let's move on. We got an hour here. We've already 23 minutes and on song 3. Wicked Gardens. I mean, we joked a minute ago about it, but it is a Sex Type Thing riff. Maybe slowed down a little bit. I think it's even played in the same key. Play a little bit. So, Mark, I'm going to tell you something funny about this. The first time I listened to this album, and I bought this album very early on CD, and CDs had a very short skip track.
I hated it. You're like, can I have a pause?
I thought this was the second part of Sex Type Thing, and they just had a long pause. Like, I was strange. You put a 4-second pause in the middle of that song. I didn't realize it was 2 different songs till I led the album.
Right, so. And it comes in your face too, the way they laid that out there. That said, the only thing negative I got to say about this song is I heard it a lot.
Yeah,
a bunch.
But
that's not their fault.
I'm going to give it the same 9 that I gave Plush because I think it's basically Plush 2.
Yeah. Very MTV ready.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And for those who are too young to remember, MTV was this channel on cable that actually played music videos.
Yes, it did.
Shocker.
It's the only reason we used to eat in the cafeteria at college because they had cable and we could watch a couple hours of MTV.
That's right.
So next song is one I struggle with a little bit. At times I find I really love this song. At times I really just skip it. It seems to be according to my mood. You come out of Wicked Garden and you go into No Memory.
I love it.
Um,
I'm sorry.
what do you think of No Memory?
I love it.
It's
I love it. It's a nice change of pace.
it is a major change of pace that I think
It
loses
forebode,
me a little bit.
it forebode tiny music coming.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I love it. I'm gonna tell you right now, I give it a 9. I love it.
Did you find a placement in the album odd?
Yeah, but I think it should have been right after Sex Stop Time.
I do like the crescendo it works up to.
I love every bit of it.
Also, that was the era past the power ballad.
Right.
So not a lot of that was on the radio. And I loved power ballads back when they first came out. I thought they were great. There's a difference to me in a power ballad done by
Winger.
like White Line, and some of the power ballads they did were good music to me. But then by the time Poisons
came out,
playing two chords and singing on top of it wasn't the same. So I really thought this was almost a homage to back to the 80s, and they do this a lot in this album. To me, they pull a lot of influences from different places.
But I also like it too. Yeah, it's like a minute and a half where it slows and then they go into the rest of the song. Dude, everything. I love the song, man. I just do. I think it's great. It's nice. I think it's aged well. I think Wicked Garden, I won't say hasn't aged well. I just heard it so much. But when I hear this,
I will agree.
I love it.
Has aged better than
it's
Wicked
so
Garden.
fresh.
It has aged better. I question the whole first couple of Wicked Garden and Sex Top thing. I think if I didn't know when that was recorded, I could probably get it within a couple of years.
And if you listen to their newer stuff with the new singer, this fits right in there with that.
What do you think? And we're 4 songs in. There's not a lot of lead work in so far this album, and really, it doesn't. You don't get a lot of 30-second screaming leads. You get licks, but not really leads.
And I categorize that as grunge. That's why I think grunge became so popular instead of the blistering solos. And I'll never be able to play that. And I don't even know what he just played. And I think I heard half of it. Here, the riff is everything, just like Alice in Chains. The riff is everything. And so the influence, right? When you go look at the liner notes, who wrote most of the songs? The bass player. And it shows. It's riff, it's line, it's bass, it's a root note. That's another reason I love this band. If you're not tapping your head or moving, you're moving when you hear this song. Basically every song. It just,
do you
it's
think
great.
that the way the songs are structured kind of pigeonholes it to a certain era, though? Kurt Hammett was Kurt Hammett made a famous quote one time when they were recording. I don't remember if it was Death Magnetic or one album, but Metallica had went away from big leads and had been part of their. And Hammett was, and it's in that movie, Some Kind of Monster. He's in front of the whole band. He goes, "If you take leads out of every song, you are pigeonholing us to a certain date, and everybody's going to know what came before, what came after."
Right.
It makes us, but at the same time, it makes the song unique.
But that said, here's another reason I love this band so much. You're exactly right. I can tell you when Core came out without even going. It's 93. It's got a 93 sound to it. But then you go a little forward, and I know we're talking about Core, but go listen a little forward to Tiny Music. It's different. And the one that was not critically acclaimed that I also love from them is Atlanta. They've all got different sounds, and that's so what I normally don't like about a band after a while. They sound the same. They sound the same. They sound the same. These guys don't. They sound just enough where you know they're Stone Temple Pilots, but the musicianship's there the whole time.
Mark, before we go any further, we got to do a little plug here, though, for how we keep the lights on. First of all, we need you to go to River City Media. We have just made a major move away from Facebook to give us a more corporate feel. Of course, we've always been on iTunes, Spotify, everywhere. And our Facebook channel, if that's where you go to, still will serve you. All the shows will be there. But the sound quality is so much better in other places. Plus, we can't do what we're trying to do with radio stations and record off a Facebook basis. So we have to make some changes. One of the things we're doing, if you'd like to support us here at River City Media, first, smash our brand new River City Media Sports. I know it says sports. Like and follow us. If you'll make a one-time donation, you'll get this awesome River City Media shirt for $25. If you would like to become a Patreon of River City Media, you'll also get your first month of River City Media. Is that not cool?
It is cool.
And then on your
Get
third
the merch
month, for your beer in your house, a set of Ford coasters. There's no obligation. We're just giving you a chance to get in on early on it. Also, if you'll contact me through my email, you can email me at randall.cunningham@iCloud. We have a lot of advertising opportunities available, and all the merchandise is available at Randall Cunningham 16 on PayPal. So sorry to interrupt the show, but we have to pay the bills. Look,
pimping ain't easy.
You get on Bob now. We're about to go, Mark. We are so close to going syndicated that we just need some help getting over the top. So be with us. But back to Stone Temple Pilots and Core. As you just said, it was a time and place. You said Tiny Music, which is maybe my favorite STP.
It's a phenomenal album, man.
If you had said Tiny Music, I wouldn't have, for this show, I wouldn't have been disappointed.
Right. Here's my problem. I'm not saying I'm like a fanboy of Stone Temple Pilots. Like I said, I play bass and I see musicianship when I see it. I love every album they've ever put out. And they've really never put out a bad one, which is crazy in itself. I mean, you think about bands, there's always some dud that you're like, I should sue them over this. Not with this band.
So the next two songs, Mark, let's talk about them together. We'll talk about Sin first. I don't think it's bad music, but I'm so in a hurry to get to my favorite part of the CD.
Well, let me ask, do you skip Sin?
I find myself sometimes getting to No Memory and jumping Memory, Sin, and Naked Sunday.
That should hurt your credit score.
To get the creep.
Sin is a great song. Oh my God.
Sin is a great song. Sometimes I don't skip it. Sometimes I do.
Okay, so here's your homework assignment. When you're in a quiet place, nothing going on, you're not driving down the road, you're not thinking about work, play Sin. You'll see it in a new perspective. It's a very introspective song that he wrote. Both of them, the lyrics and the music.
Well, I was going to say now, Sin is... When I listen to Sin, I intentionally listen to Sin because it's a song that can be very introspective.
Yeah, it is. It's very introspective. And
sometimes you got to soul search, and that soul searching is in there. I'm not calling it a skip song because I'm going to rate it a lot higher than a skip song. But you got to understand, this album, we're about to hit 4 songs that a lot of times, if back in the day when it was a CD and we got in the car, I didn't start with track 1. I went to track 8, played 8 through 13, then came back to 1.
So another thing I like about Sin, you came out first with Dead and Bloated, and then you Sex Type Thing, and then et cetera, et cetera. Then you got Sin, Which one of these is not like the others? Which one of these is not the same? It's definitely this is one of those. And my hat's off for them. That to me, I thought it was a little groundbreaking and them sticking their neck out a little bit. And that's why I didn't understand the critics didn't like these guys. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is a well-balanced album and band. And it's not heavily produced.
And anyway, I think that got them killed a little bit. That it is not. When you talk about a Ted Templeman or one of those guys that just overproduces everything, what's his name? That
Shania Twain's ex-husband. I won't mention his name because lightning shall strike me. But
yeah,
look at Def Leppard. That
is.
Mutt Lange just said it.
Okay, it was the height of Def Leppard, and it was also the height of grunge. But I think they also got criticized for being too grungy at certain times. I've heard criticism of like Cracker Man being too Soundgarden, this song being too Alice in Chains.
That drives me nuts.
But they're all over the place at the same time. Would you not agree?
Yeah, and that's why I love this band. They are all over the place because they can play it. You're gonna get some negative comments. I've got a lot of Soundgarden CDs. Stone Temple Pilots blow Soundgarden out of the water. Sorry. If you got a Stone Temple Pilots and a Soundgarden CD, I know which one you're going to put in and listen. It ain't going to be Soundgarden. You'll listen to their greatest hits, but you're not going to listen to the whole album.
Except for Spoon Man, and I don't know why.
Yeah, but it got to be on the greatest hits. You could go buy greatest hits for Soundgarden, and that's why there's this whole critic, and it just really gets me passionate and fired up. This is a well-balanced album, and they can pull off different music. So anyway.
So what do you give Sin? Let's play a little bit of Sin here. We haven't gave everybody a touch of it. I really like the hi-hat there.
I do too, man. And I can hear a little bit of Soundgarden there, but I could also hear some Pearl Jam and a bunch of other people too.
That big beat, though, again, second ACDC reference. It's in all of the STP music, that big beat, that big
pow.
Yeah.
And you got a solid bass line right behind that, man.
It is definitely a strong rhythm section band with Eric Kratz on drum. It is strong.
The whole everybody carries their weight.
And so Sin, give me a number.
I gave it a 9.
9. I went, and this is the reason I don't call it a skip. It's an 8.5 for me.
So I'm a huge fan of it.
Naked Sunday, which the lyric can kind of. This song confuses me in certain ways, but let's move on to it.
I'm a fan. I told you this is going to be. I should rate one lower, but I can't do it, dude. It's an 8.5, 9 for me, man. I think it's another well-balanced, coming a little bit different out of the box song on this CD. And I think it sounds, even today, it sounds fresh.
Well, I was going to ask you while we're discussing it, what do you think of the chorus of this song? It's a little bit of a change, do you not?
Yeah, that's another reason I like it.
Let me play just a little piece of that chorus and let everybody hear it. No grunge feel at all to that song to me.
Yeah, and every time I'm in a car and I hear this song, my steering wheel gets the crap beat out of it because I'm drumming while I'm driving. I love the song, man.
Again, we're about to hit the Randall Cunningham.
I think we'll part ways here.
I think we are.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to 10, and
Yeah.
you're going to go to 8.5.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
Again,
Spoiler alert.
when I listen to this song, I really enjoy it, but I'm in a hurry to get to the next song, so I'm
Really?
gonna give it an 8.5 too.
9.
All right.
9.
Critically, we've got some big hits early in this album, and a lot of the early releases are in the front side of this album.
Right.
There's also a section we're going to talk about that I've been hinting at. It's going to be a section that I just love every song.
Yeah. So it's just funny. Something popped in my head. I've been thinking about it for a while. I love how the critics hated this album, and it sold millions. That's like saying an iPhone sucks, and they're like, "Well, why are they so popular?" Because everybody likes them.
I believe it's 8-time platinum, 9 times platinum.
But it's a terrible album. It's a terrible album.
So 24 minutes in, we get Creep, Piece of the Pie, Plush, Wet My Bed, which I'm no fan of. I gotta go. And then another just huge song to me, Cracker Man.
Oh my
And
God.
these 4 songs, and we'll go through each one of them individual. That section of this album is to me just monster. When I bought the album, and I originally had heard Sex Type Thing and Dead and Bloated and that stuff, but when I got to this backside, I hadn't heard all this stuff as singles.
Yeah, so there too. So the reason this album sucks so bad, right? How many times have you bought an album back in the day, especially when it was on vinyl? Man, that A side, man, that's killer. And you flip it, and you're like, why did they even bother? Why did they? What the? This is terrible.
Are you talking about every Rat album after Around and Around?
Remember when you get a Rat, you'd be like, man, all right. And then you're like the other side. There's drugs, kids. It's drugs.
So the first song off of this little section is not a huge hit. It's a song called Piece of the Pie. And the opening, to me, makes this song. And we're not going to play somebody else's commercial who's not a sponsor of the show, who will not give us money. So we'll play it in 5 seconds.
YouTube is annoying.
And 5 more seconds.
Ad number 2. You can pay $20 a month, I think it is now. No ads, whatever.
Yeah, I'm too cheap to do that. I think it should come with my premium membership to make content, but that's just me.
There's some ideas.
Now, I'm beating the steering wheel. Both ends.
I love this song, dude. Here's my favorite part. The lyrics. When he comes in there singing, dude, God. It is aged so well.
And that's a song that found radio airplay on its own. Never released as a single, but you hear that song on FM rock radio constantly now. And I
crazy
did that back in 1992, but now in 2022, you hear that quite often on the radio.
And it's just, I mean, it brings, usually an album this old brings you back to, I remember a certain time, and you reminisce. This song I do not. I want to hear it right now, and I'm in the moment. That is such a great song.
Do you think? I think you get a peek of what's going to happen in this song, and I think it's the more mature. If I was betting money, which I don't know this, if I was betting money, I would almost bet this song was later in the sessions or later as them as a band. And
you can see they're looking forward, and they're going to be taking a different direction. And, they got the skills to do it, man. That's another reason I like this band. They can go go to a different, I wouldn't say a different sound. I mean, as soon as you hear them, you know they're Stone Temple Pilots, but they're going to take the music a little bit of a different direction and still pull it off. They've got the rhythm section, and that's critical for any type of change. And real quick, I give this song a 9, man.
Especially since we're here 30 years later talking about it. And we'll get more into the songs in a minute. Let's sidebar for just a second. To me, especially starting at this point, this album is underrated, even by today's standards.
Yeah, it's you know, I keep harping on the critics, but man, you nailed it on the head. You know, we talked about it just a minute ago. Usually the albums by now are kind of losing steam. Dude, these guys are going into third gear and stomping the gas. The album just gets better and better and better. And this song really sets the tone, or the song that you just played really sets the tone for.
It does. It's like, to me, I've always said with this album, this song almost sets the second phase of the album.
Yep.
And this is a really long album. I think it's 50-something minutes.
Yeah, that was another thing. So, you know, here's where it probably hasn't aged well. If you think about songs now, they're like 3 minutes or less. And Stone Temple Pilots, it's real hard to get them to play a 3-minute song. So if you get, you know, out of the groove and you're not listening to, you may have the tendency to forward the song just because you're used to the habit of hearing a short song. I'm not saying they're epic ballads of songs, but you know, a lot of them are 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's
which I like. They're nailing it.
Dead and Bloated is 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Sin is almost 6 minutes.
You know, if you said 6 minutes song, yeah, my blood boils because now I'm thinking jam band. They're not a jam band. They're not the Allman Brothers.
What they were excellent at doing, Mark, though, and something that we would be remiss. I have a friend that used to call STP the king of the bridge.
Yes.
And you know, so many bands, they'll play a chorus. They'll play a verse, a chorus, a bridge, a verse, a chorus, song ends. STP would play a chorus, maybe a bridge. I mean, their songs are just so not structured.
Yeah, the only other band I've ever heard, it's funny that you said that. And so the second iteration of that band, I know they get a lot of crapola, is Creed. But Mark Tremonti, you know, some of the faults I've had with him, no solos hardly, a lot of bridge work, and then a chorus. Kind of got that with these two bands here. But I think STP does such a better job with it. They know when to come in, they know when to go out. And it's the jazz, and it's the bossa nova, and then it's a strong rhythm. They've got it figured out, man. And they definitely got their own sound.
All right. Before we get to Plush, which everyone knows and everyone's listened to 6,747 times.
Today.
Piece of the Pie, by the way, 5 minutes, 24 seconds.
And it doesn't seem that long.
I'm going to give this song a 9.5.
I give it a 9.
All right.
Yeah.
First of all, I love Plush.
I do too.
Again, I said it earlier, there is not, that chord progression exists nowhere else in rock music. Go find me a rock song that sounds like Plush. We'll talk. To me, it's that progression of almost Dixieland jazz, little ragland.
So I got to think it's probably one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of this song. And it may be jealousy a little bit. You know, you ever listen to a band and you're really into them, and then some guy you kind of tolerate, you like him, but you don't like him. He's kind of a nerd. He comes up to you, hey, have you heard Stone Temple Pilots? they're phenomenal. And you're like, yeah, I've been listening to him for like 2 years, dude.
Uh,
No, man, Stu just came out. You're
I'm
like,
going to tell you my moment of
son of
that. When the world discovered Corey Taylor was also the front man for Slipknot. And I'm going,
yes.
I've been listening to Sunsour forever, and everybody, oh, he's the front man of Slipknot. And I'm like, nah, you reckon?
Yeah, no kidding.
Really?
Wow.
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 You know
Thank you, Wikipedia.
You know that Jim guy on stage with him? He's the guitarist in Slipknot. What about that?
Wow. Oh my God, man. And that may be what's going on here with that. I just, they blew up with Plush and I've been listening to them. I had a tape. I had a CD. The tape got worn out, CD, record it, put it in my car. And then these guys
interviewing a young strong writer, Mark, and to go with your feelings there. We were talking about another song someone else had wrote. And he goes, and we played a little clip of it. And he's like, I hate him, man. I truly hate him. Because it was a great line. And he goes, I want to write that line so bad. I think in some way I wanted to riff Plush the first time myself. So,
yeah.
Very proud dad, by the way. Annalie is a month into her guitar lessons. So, Rocker Chick coming up someday soon.
Well, this is one she needs to play.
Yes. This is a song I played for her and she really likes. But I got to play this opening and just I want everybody to listen to this chord progression. Got about 15 minutes to get through this. We're going to finish up on time. We thank everybody for joining us. I'm going to tell you what this song's good for, too. If you wanted to go see STP and you're in a relationship and your girl's on the fence to go or not, Plush will get her to go to the concert. I know this from personal experience. I had to make a mixtape of STP songs that a girl who didn't like heavy metal liked, so I could get my girlfriend to go.
Man, see, you're better than I am. I would have played the hardest thing they had, or put in, I'd have put in Metallica or something.
I was trying to get her paid for a ticket at the time.
Right. So you don't want to go to that. Then you have a good time. Anyway,
I found a spot on the couch that feels good. I think I'll stay here for a while.
So I hate to say it, we rate songs with is it skippable? I skipped this one.
Do you skip it because of the times you? I think "Sweet Home Alabama" is a great song.
Oh God!
When I listen to the greatest hits of Leonard Skinner, I've not listened to "Sweet Home Alabama" once, or "Freebird." But
I got a free bird for you.
Saturday Night Special. Is this song overhashed in your head?
Yes. I'm over it. And it's not their fault. It is not their fault. It's a great song.
What would you give the song in 1993 and in 2022?
God, you're going to hate me. I'd have gave it a 7 because the only thing I can say negative about this song, even today and even then, it's very, very, very radio friendly.
Yes, I'll agree.
And that's not my style.
I'm
giving you personal preference, not the song's really a 9. I give it a 7.
I'm gonna give it a 9.5. If you can't notice, everything in this section is gonna get a 9.5.
Yeah, this whole album. I mean, come on, man.
Wet My Bed. I don't even want to go into it.
Oh, come on!
I'll give y'all a sample.
There you go.
I need some blues from the 1985. Dude, you gotta feel a minute. Hey,
Dude.
The best explanation for this song that I heard and getting ready
Hot.
for this was one of the review guys go, "This must have been the time that Scott Whalen could rest his voice and go underneath and get a beer." So,
I had bomb.
yeah, well, I didn't want to go there, but still, yeah, it is. It's there for a reason, and it
Yeah.
leads into my favorite song in the album. But it's a skip for me.
Well,
every time.
I got a question. Where did Mary go?
She's in the Queensryche Operation
Dude, I'm
Vine's
telling you, this song was marijuana influenced. Where did Mary go? Let's move on. I'm not even gonna rate this one. I'm not. It's filthy.
No. This would be a great music for a Nike ad, folks at Nike. If you need something just to put behind it. Honestly, I have a mix that's called Sleep Music. This song is on it. So, like when I go to bed, I don't want to listen to something that gets me worked up.
Every time I hear this,
by,
I'm like, WTF, man.
Yeah, Silent Lucidity by Queensryche's on it too. So it's not
Yeah.
like I'm killing every song. It's just it's stuff that doesn't get any emotion out of me.
Nah, I'm just like, what? Huh? I don't skip it either because I'm so enthralled with it. I'm like, what the crap?
All right, man.
What's next?
The most overlooked song on this album, to me. I'm gonna get banned. It's gonna be right here. Quit tapping. How do you like that little slide?
Man, so I got to tell you something. This song, I went on a duck hunting trip. My significant other went with me. You know her. Bless her heart. It's a 8-hour trip. We broke it up in 2 days.
A lot, man.
Over an hour. I played different versions of Cracker Man. Hey. Singing it. I was singing it, looking at her and just telling the lyrics. And she's like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, well, it's over. And then another version, another Cracker Man came on, the 1992 Red Rocks live. I love that song, man.
Well, first off, shout out to her for putting up with a lot of crap from
1 hour.
She goes with us too every now and then. So she's great. She's so much fun. But 1 hour of Cracker Man might have been 35 minutes too much Cracker Man.
No. If I do karaoke, it's this song, dude. I love this song.
What do you think of the criticism of Soundgarden and that folks say this is?
I never heard it. I'm sorry. I probably Spoon Man crap. I don't know. I don't hear the Soundgarden. It's driving. I hear a little bit of Alice in Chains in it. It's not truly a drop D song, but it's got that little bit darker sound to it.
What does it feel like to customize your car?
It's a.
I love it, dude.
To me, it's the ultimate. Just like tap your feet. I'm gonna give you a little more of it.
The lyrics are dark though.
All right, we'd be remiss if we just didn't come up and talk about the megaphone a little bit.
So I got a theory here, dude. So the song to me is when he's starting to get a little bit deeper in the drugs. I've been tripping. I got mud beneath my shoes, all that. He's trying to quit. But then when you hear the megaphone, those are the thoughts in his head.
Interesting.
And he's trying to quit and he can't. But the lyrics, man, and the megaphone and the driving bass and the hard drums and The guitar, dude, like I said, I played it an hour. An hour.
For those enough, I only saw STP once, so it's not like I got to see him 20 times. That
Phenomenal live song.
song was so good live. It was like, I guess the crowd that night, it was probably a 5,500, 6,000, a nice sized crowd. Probably 750 of us knew this song. And when it
Right.
came on live, you could just see everybody that
Everybody
knew
who's
this
getting
song was like, and everybody else is like going to get popcorn. And
Right.
I think I was pogoing at one point.
So man, so here's something else that's cool. Like we talked about earlier, this band gave us so many other bands. I'll even listen to Slash and the Velvet Revolver when they're playing it. There's a couple versions of them playing it. And instead of hearing the brothers, now you're hearing Duff and Slash.
Yeah,
It's just a great song. It's a great song to play live. The different bands covered it that are good bands can play it. Dude, I give this one a 10. I'm sorry. I
I'm
love
going to give
this
it
song.
10 plus with you.
And you cannot listen to it without busting a speaker.
So we've got one song in about 8 minutes. So I want to take away just 3 minutes here. Let's talk about the other versions of bands doing STP music. And I said it when we started before everybody got on here, and you know this. And I don't think he's the greatest guitarist. I just love the character. I love the riffing. I've seen Slash and the Conspirator. I've seen
Right.
Guns N' Roses. I've seen Velvet Revolver. I love Slash. And I really, really, I don't say it's better. It's different.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. It's so if you're a fan, you like the demos and the box sets and all that. Okay, you've heard a couple more times. Well, then when I heard Slash and those guys playing the song, it's like, all right, it's just different enough. It's like you hear Guns N' Roses singing Cracker Man, and I like it.
They did it. They didn't reproduce the CD, and that's what I liked about it. It is a little different. I think, especially in Velvet Revolver, it might have been a touch slower,
right?
A little more room to breathe, and I loved it. I mean, it like you said, you can find.
It's funny
you
you
could
said
probably
that.
find more than an hour of Cracker Man out
I
there
heard.
if you really want to go
So
looking.
when Scott got kicked out of the band, he said, "Well, it's not fair," and well, what's not fair? And of course, it was the drug use and all that. But another thing, his voice had changed over the years. We all get older. The brothers, they hit the gas, dude. And there was a couple there, I got every version I could ever grab of this song. There's a couple of live versions. If I was Scott after the show, I'd have punched him. I know it's a live setting and that song's really dynamic. That would, after a while, be a hard song to sing because it's just go, go, go. And I do like how Velvet Revolver slowed it back down for him. And you got to hear his baritone voice again.
There is a point of going too fast.
Yes. It's not right.
And I love some of the elite metal bands that play really, really fast. But for me to sit down and listen to something wrote in 64th notes, I can't do it.
I can't hang, man.
And sometimes you just get, 4/4 is 4/4. Let's stay in it,
Right. So I even got the versions of, there's if you can find it, Army of Anyone sings this. And then when Chester Bennington was in the band, he's singing it. Everybody bashed Bennington. I like the versions.
If we didn't mention that Chester Bennington originally replaced Scott Weiland, and the band continued with basically the same set.
Yep.
And Chester Bennington, we all know, and also we lost Way Too Young, is a unique voice that added a different dynamic to this music.
And I thought he did a good, here we go. I'll get bashed. I thought he did a great job. I thought he did a great job. And the new guy, I keep calling him new guy. He's been in the band, I think, over 5 years now.
His name's Jeff Gutt.
Yeah, Jeff Gutt, and he was, off one of these reality singing shows. Dude, he pulls it off. I was disappointed they were coming to Chattanooga and COVID killed it. I was making an effort to go to that show.
Yeah.
I watched some
I remember
videos.
us
He does a
discussing
great
it.
job. He's not the front man Scott Weiland was, but who can be?
But even like Chester Bennington coming from Lincoln Park to Stone Temple Pilots, while it was different, I still felt Scott Weiland in the music, and I can't.
Oh, you can't help it. I mean, you know, he's such a even with Jeff Gutt. He's trying to fill his shoes, man. And you just you. Here's the problem I have when it first happened, and the new guy, I keep calling him new guy, showed up. I finally had to get over it. Scott is not coming back, but
Yeah.
he gave us the music, and those are such huge. Imagine trying to replace Mick Jagger.
Replace Lane Staley and Alice in Chains.
I saw Alice in Chains with the new singer. Great show, great music.
Still not Lane Staley though.
It's a tribute to Lane.
Yeah, I mean,
But I think so. Here's why I like about STP. I think they've gone over that hump of tribute to where they're a solid band again.
there's
And
two ways to go here, and I feel like look, we talked about Skinner twice now. Skinner went the other way, but originally they got a bunch of guys that were in Skinner, put them behind Ronnie Van Zant's little brother,
right,
and you felt like it was Skinner. Now there's one person in the band. That's a tribute band out touring, dude.
well, Kiss too.
Yeah.
But look at I think the one that really always nailed it when you talk about lead singers, and I think that STP's kind of done that. Look at AC/DC. They went from Bon Scott. Sounds just a little bit different, but a little bit the same. And long as they got that little bit of the same, and the music's still good, and you're just not putting out crap, I'm in. I'm a fan.
Well, that's a good point. When you listen to Bon Scott and A Long Way to Rock and Roll versus Brian Johnson's debut in Back in Black, it's not the same band, but it's the same feel in a lot
It's
of ways.
AC/DC,
It's AC/DC.
and we still got Stone Temple Pilots.
Last song we'll get into, Where the River Goes, one of the older songs originally recorded by Mighty Joe Young. A song I do like. Really like that.
Love that song, man.
When you talked about sin, you almost described my feelings for this song.
Well, so it's funny you said that. I think Sin and River, they're brother and sister,
They are.
and there's nothing wrong with that, man. This is between like I hate to say karaoke, but if you ask me if you're going to do karaoke, what are you going to sing? I would sing Nutshell from Alice in Chains. I'd sing Cracker Man, and then Down the River. I think that's phenomenal.
I would sing Everybody Out the Bar is what I'd sing.
I love this song, man. I love the opening drum. So real quick, what I love about that too. Can you play the beginning of that again? Just a couple notes, and I'll show you why I really like it. Right there. You stop it. You hear that snare, dude?
It's wicked.
You hear the snare. You hear the mic on the snare. That is old school recording. You can hear the boom and the echo of the room. I love everything about this, man. It's a live music band playing. It's a great song.
Well, we're going to give everything a rating here in just a minute. I'm going to have a different way to ask it here on season 2 of Outlaw X. Welcome back, folks. Football season got a little crazy on us, so we just took our season break. We're back. We're going to try to put out content about every 2 weeks is what we're going to try to do, Mark, for now. Maybe we'll record some shows and get them in the queue. We were at one point last season syndicated across the Eastern Europe block. I'm sure this show will go up. There's a lot of folks love classic rock music. If you want to see us when we go live, give us a like, a follow to River City Media. We'll promise you, we haven't talked about the second album yet that we're going to do, but I got a couple ideas in my head. Mark always comes up with some of the strangest things you've ever heard, but it works. We left a couple of things hanging from last year, including a couple of easy rock albums, which I think we owe our audience at some point to go back and do some easier rock things. But give us a like and a follow. Mark, I'm going to ask you for a rating, but I'm going to start with a different kind of question. Is this in your top 10, top 20, top 40, or top 100 albums of all time?
Okay, so let me ask you: are you asking in my personal collection?
I'm asking Mark Cumnock's personal life.
It's in my top 5.
I thought it would be.
Probably. God, I wouldn't know where to pick on that. The Lane Staley era.
It's really hard to write down.
Right.
I've wrote down my favorite 10 albums.
Yeah. So, man, yeah, it's top. I'm gonna wait a minute. I gotta say top 10 because I'm gonna weasel out what I just said because I love Atlanta from Stone Temple Pilots. I love Tiny Music. Really, I love all of them. I mean, I'm going to play them, man. If you just pick that, if you say, "Hey, I'm picking that as Stone Temple Pilots," I'm like, "All right, cool." But Core, it's coming out of the gate. I was going to say something. The one album I don't like from Stone Temple Pilots is "Thank You," the greatest hits. If you just get that one, you have shot yourself in the foot because they don't have greatest hits. Every song on their albums are great. But this is I'll say this is in my top 10 and probably like number 8.
So I'm going to limp out even farther. This is probably in my top 40, but there's a Stone Temple Pilots album in my top 20 at least. Or you could go, this is in my top 30, and there's another album in my top 10. This is my second favorite. I think I've said Tiny Music's my favorite Stone Temple album. It's hard for me to say this is top 10.
Right.
If I had back in the old day, we had those tape boxes where I had 40 slots.
It'd be in there.
There'd be at least 3 albums in my slot.
I'd have them all in there. I'd be that guy. That said, we've said it on other shows, especially for the younger viewers. If you're trying to build a collection, you have to have this one. And don't buy the original one. Don't do it. Don't buy the 25 anniversary edition. There's so many other good songs on there. There's even and man, I want to turn you on to one. It's his I'll try to get it. It's his Scott Weiland's Christmas album.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotta give it a listen.
For people that don't know it, when he was in high school, he sung chorus. He was heavily influenced by that. It really shows. But yeah, this is a must-have album. It's a must. You have to have this album.
So STP rests just outside of my and this is no insult. They rest just outside my favorite bands of all time, which is a very crowded little area. Right. You're bumping bands like, and everybody knows my love for hard rock and the heavier metal side of it. To break into that era of your top 5 bands, you're dealing with probably 3 of the 4 big 4. Right. That's where my heart lies. This may be the highest ranking hard rock band in my collection.
And it's funny you said that. So you said you got a big collection. I find out as I get older, my favorite bands are starting to narrow down.
I don't disagree with that either.
And I'm finding that really weird at this lot of my life. I ask myself, am I getting stuck in a rut? We tried to do this show earlier or late last year. So I just kept listening to this, trying to get ready for the show. Well, weeks went on to months. I never changed up. I'm like, I forgot how great this thing is. I just kept playing it. 1 hour of Cracker Man. And I feel like we're very lucky to have this band at this time that put out this music and not just this album.
I did just to show you my love for this band. I did less than 10 minutes of research to be ready for this show. And Even for bands I love like ZZ Top was an hour or an hour and a
Right.
half. to
And I
get there.
purposely did not research this because I was afraid I could talk 4 hours about this band.
Yeah, good thing. Well, you got any direction for the next show, buddy? You got anything you're thinking about? We've got to do it, and it's your favorite.
My favorite?
One of your, well, at least one of your favorite
Wham.
bands.
We're going to do Wham.
At some point, we got to dig up a little Alice in Chains.
Woo, woo, woo.
That's hanging out there. Also hanging out there,
Them
is
bones.
a couple of softer rock things, but I have been listening to Alice in Chains nonstop for about 2 months. So,
Well, so I got a little tidbit. If you listen to Alice in Chains, I got a new guy that you need to hear. He used to do tribute bands of Alice in Chains. Brandon Mayer. You got. We need to talk about him.
okay, cool.
He's an offshoot of Alice in Chains. He's on YouTube, and he's got a personal Facebook page, which I'm not on Facebook. It's so hard to find new music. So I'd like to talk about a little bit of the side bands that have offshooted and made from Alice in Chains.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got it.
We
I mean,
also have a request
Yeah.
from Annalise, guitar teacher, to do a Type O negative album.
oh my God, that'd be horrible.
Wait
Wait a minute, I gotta ask you. You got a guitar teacher that likes Type O?
Yes, and he gave me this specific album information, and I listened to it, and I absolutely love it. So we'll talk offline about that one. Too.
Woo, that could be a good one, man.
That
would be hard for me.
I think you'll be shocked by how good this album is.
Challenge accepted.
All right, man. Well, just stay tuned to RiverCity-Media. Outlaw X will be here at least till the fall. Fall gets a little tough. Duck hunting season, deer hunting season.
Family.
Hey, you know what we're going to do, though? We're going to record at least one episode live on the lake as we fish.
Well,
that's just us, dude. You know?
We need to do it right in the middle of a bass tournament, and that we can make it a Jackass episode.
Well, everything, dude. We've been doing Jackass skits. That's what I told somebody the other day. The Jackass movie's out, and I was like, just give me and Mark Cumnock, 1983, and a 6-pack of Bud Light, and we'd do the same shit.
I am so glad that we didn't have the internet, we didn't have phones, we didn't have camcorders. I'd be dead.
I got run over by a car, and you were driving it. That's all I got to say. That starts with some of the dumb stuff we done.
Firecrackers.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought it was a good idea to strip naked in your backyard and do a lap with your whole neighborhood looking. I mean, I don't know.
Was not involved.
Somehow, I think Johnny Knoxville was around in Ray County back in about 1982. When I posted this on my personal Facebook, I wanted to put something. If you want to know what the high school losers from the class of '84 is doing, join Mark and I on Outlaw X tonight.
I'd say it every once in a while I watch a Jackass skit, and I'm like, yeah, done that, been there, done that.
Yeah. Now, I ain't jumping in front of no bull, though. That's just...
No, but medicine ball, dodgeball, yeah, been there,
yeah,
done that.
absolutely, 100 times.
Taser war,
yeah,
hey, done that.
Ode to Alvin Richards. I've never seen anybody blow their face up better than Alvin did with fireworks. So to the Jackass guys, you need to talk to Alvin about how to really blow yourself up. No one did it better than Alvin did.
It was pro move, kinda.
For what's your new name starting next week on the show? Richard Head Jr. or something?
Richard Head the Third Esquire.
Yeah. I'm just gonna be QB1. Richard Jasper on Speakeasy 330 started calling me that. It's kind of stuck. Been looking for a nickname. I'm going with QB1. Join us next week, 2 weeks from tonight. And it might move around a little bit. And if we get a chance, we're just going to record some episodes and it be consistent. But we have a good following, and thank you for watching us, and thank you for, putting up with Mark and I while we just do what we like to do.
And I'm about to say, everybody needs to watch the next episode, because if it's Type O negative, this OI is going to be twitching while we talk.
Join us next for the Type O Negative. I will send you the album tomorrow. Annalise got a guitar lesson. He'll give it.
This is gonna be a torture fest.
I love this album, man. I love it.
I'm going in open-minded.
Randall QB1, Mark, yep, come knock. Outlaw X is back on the air. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.